So as introduction is happened, so today I'll be more concentrating on consensus protocol. So I think it's been 2 days. You may be knowing and understanding basics of blockchain, how blockchain works, and what are the main contents of the blockchain, why blockchain is used, main applications of the blockchain. So here we'll go more deeper into the blockchain architecture side. So it's called consensus protocol. So before going to the blockchain, just we'll go quick review about the blockchain. Okay. So has anyone know what is consensus? So please, let's be an interactive session. You can tell anything. Okay. So consensus. What is consensus? Okay. So before that, is just let's go through quick history of a blockchain. So it started in 2008. It's a group of people who named into Satoshi Nakamoto. It's a virtual name. So if you search with that name, you will not find any person particularly. It's a group of people. They introduced this blockchain technology. Okay, so this is the basic paper for that. So peer-to-peer electronics cash system. So basically cash system in the sense initially it was introduced only for the financial transactions, but later it got introduced to many other wide areas like IoT and health sector and many other. Okay, so as we go on to a presentation, I'll show you that. So here I'll be covering blockchain technology main agenda, and more into that specifically consensus protocol, why consensus is used. And in the next session I'll be showing you the demo of Ganache tool, where you will be experiencing how transactions are deployed and how network is deployed into a blockchain. And I'll be showing you the transactions, how transactions are created. Okay, how ethers are used. Ethers are specifically for Ethereum tool, like we have Bitcoin. Okay, so is that clear? I hope. So why was it created? Because there was always a trust required to make any transactions between any two parties. Am I audible right clearly? If there are any issues, please let me know. So there was always trusted party required. Suppose if we are doing any bank transactions, we will definitely go to a bank. Between two parties, bank is the intermediate. Okay, we will be paying charges, their maintenance charges, we can say. It's like, so it's always like a third party. We should always depend on third party, which is actually the main blockchain agenda, is to remove that third party so that it can keep it open, so that anyone can make transactions between two parties without depending on the intermediaries. Okay, is that clear? So here Alice and Bob, two people are there, so they are approaching the bank for their transactions. See, it's like trusted third party. In case of insurance, we'll go to some insurance companies for the insurance. So it's like why we need a trusted third party, because it's our own data, it's our personal data, we are keeping our money there, so they can do anything with that. They can modify it. It will not happen, but it can happen in worst case, like it can be attacked by outsiders. So that such violates can be overcome in blockchain. So centralized system, blockchain is actually a decentralized system. So here I am showing centralized system because these are the failures this has overcome in blockchain system. So centralized systems are easy to maintain, as there is only one single point of failure. Okay, so maintenance is easy, but in case of failure you cannot recover that. But in case of distributed system, there is always multiple copies of a same repository in multiple places, so that you can easily recover. Okay, so if you take example of a Google, so they are having their database centers in 3 different continents. Okay, not in countries, 3 different continents. Okay, so that's how their decentralization will work. So it's actually unstable. Okay, so difficult server maintenance, because always it's like a traffic will come over. So there it comes a concept of distributed ledger. So where it's a blockchain is a network. Okay, so suppose if anyone wants to participate, they first have to register for the network. So then he will update his ledger with the whatever everyone is having in the network. Okay, suppose participant can be anyone, it may be bank, it may be private sector, it may be person, single person. So anyone can participate in that network, they can make a transactions. So here it's like everyone will have the copy of whole ledger. Okay, not only his own ledger, it will be having copy of whole ledger. So here it clearly shows the difference between centralized and decentralized and distributed. So can anyone tell what is the difference between decentralized and distributed? Okay, please. So from the picture, it's clearly shows difference between decentralized and distributed. Centralized is it's like a single point of failure. So only one network will be there through which all the data will be updating every time, and it's like only one server for every time. If you want to update, delete anything. So, but when it comes to centralized, it's like a distributed. So decentralized, it's like a it can take its own decision on its own. Okay, distributed is something like a replicas of that. Uh, excuse me. uh, Distributed is kind of a same replica will be there in a different positions, so it cannot take a decision on its own. But in decentralization, it can take decision on its own. Okay, so that is the difference between centralized, decentralization, and distributed. So in this comes into a picture of this distributed ledger, the main concept behind the blockchain. So here you will be having one hash value for one block. So I think you might have gone through these things, but I'm just overviewing the blockchain structure. So here the previous block will be not be there. This is called genesis block. Okay, so this block is called genesis block because there is no previous block here. So this block will be having one hash value. This hash value will be stored in this block, along with that some other information. Okay, so you are getting my point, right? Okay, so it's called immutability because once the data is stored, it's like a linked list structure. Whenever the chain breaks, that chain will become invalid. Okay, so this will clearly shows that what are the contents of the each blockchain. So in Bitcoin, if you take so in actual blockchain, everything comes under transactions. Okay, so so here you can see block contains data structure that contains a series of transactions. So here okay, so I'm just using this page for drawing. So initially we are having transactions. Okay, so transactions can have source plus destination address plus data. I'm sorry, I'm not able to write comfortable here. Okay, so transactions will have three main things. One is source and destination and data. These three main things. Okay, so after the transactions, it will called uh, mining. Okay, okay. So before going to mining, there is a transaction pool where all the transactions will come and dump into this transactions pool. Okay, so what mining, why we need a transaction pool is because system will be very fast, so it cannot wait for taking each transactions every time because transactions are very slow. So what it will do is it will create a pool. So all transactions will come and dump in that pool. So how these transactions will be identified as based on the timings. Okay, so you can give any token or timing. So based on that, it can be identified which is the latest transactions. Okay, so here after that mining. So mining is nothing but verification of transactions. Okay, so once that mining is done, okay, so again this is a vast concept actually, mining. Okay, because a lot of things will comes into picture, how mining will happen and on what basis and who will verify that transactions. So once that mining is done, after that consensus mechanism. Okay, consensus mechanism. So consensus mechanism is something like who has to create the uh, block. Okay, so all the transactions will come, all the transactions will be put inside a block. Okay, and this block will be sent to all the network to verify whether this block created is correct or not, whether it is consisting of some wrong data or invalid data. Okay, so this can be easily identified through hash value. Okay, so hashing techniques, it's very useful in this case because everything comes under hash only. Whatever you do transactions, it will be passed through one hash. So again this transactions pools, again it will be passed through another hash. If you see here, so this is actually hash value. Okay, these are all hash value, one transactions one hash. So again how these hashes will be make into one hash. So here one transactions one hash will come, another one t2. Okay, so these hashes will pass to another hash function so that it can be created, it is actually h of t. Okay, so only one hash will be created. So similarly, in a similar way, if you go like this will create one value that is called Merkle tree value. Okay, you are understanding the points, right? So initially we started with the transactions. Okay, so transactions, each transaction in blockchain, everything is a hash value. Okay, so for each transaction you will have one hash value. Okay, so by combining those two hash values, again one hash value will come. So this will keep on merging till we could generate one hash value. So this hash will be there in block header. So block content is different, block header is different. Okay, so this is block header actually, this is block content. So on this one Merkle, once Merkle tree is done, if you just you can observe here. So suppose if some outsiders come, even though he is able to track, even though he is able to uh, identify this hash value, so after coming here again he will find one more difficulty here, again he is coming down one more difficulty here till he finds these transactions, which will take a lot of computational power. In worst case it's very less time he could identify what are the transactions are happening. So that is worst case, but it has done. Even though blockchains are more safe, already existing systems, blockchains are hacked actually. Okay, that is but very less cases we can say, because unless you have that setup, even though we are having it's like Intel i7 processor, its speed is more, but there are some other processors like GPUs are also existing ASICs. Okay, even though they are using that much, then only they can identify this hash value, because there is no tricks to identify the value. Only the way they can identify this value is brute force method. They have to take each hash value, they have to match with this, again they have to change the hash value, again they have to match it. It's like a brute force. Okay, one by one, yeah, they have to check every value. There is no technique like randomly it can come and hack that. That is how it works. Suppose if you might have worked on Kali Linux. to hack the systems. Okay, Kali Linux is basically for that only. Okay, so if you might have gone through, usually we used to do it for hack the Wi-Fi passwords. Okay, so that is where Kali Linux, it will actually take the each value and it will identify, it will actually do permutation and combinations. Okay, so transactions, again mining is done whether that transaction is valid or not. Once the transaction is valid, again so it will verify all the transactions and put it in a block. So this block is ready for broadcast. Okay, so this broadcast is depend on consensus mechanism. Okay, so this consensus mechanism, whether it is working on multiple systems, like suppose a group of people are there inside that consensus, or only one person is there to select a block. If only one person is there to select a block, then there is no use of broadcast, so you can save the energy. Okay, you can save the traffic. If there are group of people, like proof of work is a one consensus mechanism. So in proof of work, what happens is that I will comes into picture next, but I am just giving overview. In proof of work, there are some systems so where this block has to be broadcasted to everyone, so that everyone has to accept that this block is valid, then only that block is added to blockchain. I'm just writing chain. Okay, so these things you followed, right? Transactions. Okay, so once that transaction is verified, whether it will comes into block, so based on the consensus mechanism, whether that block has to be accepted or not. Once that block is accepted, then it will be updated to the chain. So once it is updated to the chain, it's like it's a network responsibility that all the ledgers are updated with that block or not. Okay, so I hope this gives overview of blockchain actually. Okay, so here data can be anything. When it comes to financial transactions, it's money, it's like a Bitcoin. When it comes to Ethereum tool, it's Ether. Okay, so like that we have many other coin bases. Okay, so when it comes to health data, you can store any type of data. So what we did in our research, we were storing the records of the patients. Okay, so that's where it's a privacy of a patient, so without patient knowledge it should not be shared to anyone. Okay, in IoT we are storing temperatures. Okay, only data, or it's not like only data we can store inside blockchain. We can automate the system through blockchain. It's like, consider example traffic system. So there are three lights, you have to automate the system, it should not be in the control of someone. So when it comes to a picture of some systems are in some person hand, so definitely there will be some mistakes may happen. I cannot tell that always mistakes happen, but mistakes may happen. So in order to avoid that, if we keep this system inside a automation, so there are less chances that mistakes may happen. So if you take a traffic rules, if you keep this traffic inside a blockchain, so in article it has already published that suppose this junction, okay, if any consider this is 50 meter. Okay, suppose any vehicles, based on the vehicles coming inside, okay, based on the vehicles going outside, so this traffic rules is automated into the blockchain. This article has published on a introducing a blockchain application. Okay, you can go through these papers. So here traffic can be, because if there are any less vehicles here, so this can be blocked for some more time. If there are more vehicles here, so this can be make clear easily. So that's where blockchain will help. Okay, so you can see that is one where blockchain works. So here blockchain, each block will be having very less data. Okay, so when it comes to Bitcoin, it's only 500 transactions on average. The size of the block will be 1 MB. So considering if uh, block size is 1 MB, so you can store up to 500 transactions, which is very less. Okay. Why it is less? See, actually, suppose if you want to send only one Bitcoin, if you want to send half Bitcoin, if you send okay, so when it comes to Bitcoin, it's big, but when it comes to rupees, 1 rupee, 2 rupees, it actually taking a lot of computational power in order to send only small amount of money, it, which is not good. Actually, this is actually a disadvantage. Okay, so as I showed you, so this is a transaction. Okay, and this will pass through hash. Okay, so again T2, T3, T4, consider there are 4 transactions here, 4 hash values. Again these two are merged. Okay, again these two are merged, again this two will be merged into a single value. So this will be stored in a block header, list of transactions and block header. Okay, so along with that block header there will be previous block value. So here you can see, so previous block value is there. Proof of work. So why we are adding proof of work, I will tell what exactly the proof of work and how it works. Okay, I'll show in the coming PPT. So this is main working of a blockchain. So user initiate the transactions using their digital signature. So he will be having one public key and receiver will also having one public key. So you have already know that public private concept. So every user, whoever registered to the network, he will be having one public key and one private key. So his private key will be used for transactions to initiate the transaction actually. So public key he just reference to him. Okay. So user broadcasts their transactions to nodes. It will be like basically a pool. So where inside that pool all the transactions will be there, so that whoever wants to mine the transactions, they can take the transactions and they can verify. So who has to verify the transactions, we will see. Okay, one or more nodes begin validating each transaction. So this will also based on completely mining. Okay, so node aggregates validated transactions into blocks. Once that block is run, it will broadcast the blocks into each other, and consensus protocol uses whether that block has to be accepted or not. So once it is accepted, it will be added to the chain. Otherwise, considering it's actually having invalid data. Okay, so when blocks will be having invalid data, can anyone tell? Hello, at least my voice is audible, right? Please respond.
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so is everything clear, right? So if there are any doubts, please ask me. Okay, so now chain is ready. So this chain has to be updated to the each ledger that depends on the network. Okay, so that's the responsibility of the network. So whenever one node is down, okay, consider. So this is network. There are nodes, and these nodes will be interacting each other. Okay. So whenever this node is down, so he can take a copy from either here or from this. Okay. So this is the main advantage of distributed ledger, because everyone will be having same copy of the ledger. Ledger is nothing but just a database. Okay, all the transactions database. So here consensus comes into picture. So consensus is nothing but a agreement. Okay, so where all the participating nodes will have to sign on that agreement that how how blocks will be verified. Okay, so this is main consensus is nothing but just an agreement between what? Agreement between any two entities. Okay, one person is there, then there is no need of agreement, only one person is there, so he can do anything. But two persons are there from outside, So there will be definitely need of agreement. If there is only more than one person, then definitely there is need of agreement. So consensus, just agreement. So what agreement? There are some set of rules. So those are written as a smart contracts. Smart contracts, what? There are some set of codes. There is something. This consensus has to agree for that. Okay. What smart contracts? I will come to that. Okay. So this is consensus is nothing but just an agreement between parties. So there is how it is started. So Byzantine fault tolerance. So this clearly shows that when it's like two kings are agreeing for war at a same time. Okay, if one king will not attack at that time, but he will attack on another time. Okay, so there are two kings, so they will agree for one time, consider 6:30 p.m. Okay, but he will not attack on that time, he will attack on next day, or before that he can attack. So this will definitely loss to another king. Okay, so that is main problem of Byzantine fault tolerance. It's called Byzantine general problem. Okay, when it comes to blockchain, it's called Byzantine fault tolerance, because definitely it's a loss to another king. He may lose his kingdom. Okay, so here comes into a picture a proof of work. It's a very popular algorithm which is used in Bitcoin. So proof of work is nothing but there are some participating nodes. So nodes are there. Okay. So consider N1, N2, N3, N4, N5. So this is network. Okay, so don't consider it as a node. So there are 5 nodes. So now who wanna validate the transactions? Why he has to validate the transactions? So how he has to validate the transactions? Because by validating the transactions, the node will get some rewards in terms of money, only, in terms of Bitcoin, some part of Bitcoin he will get as a reward by validating the transactions if his block gets accepted. Okay, so here who has to validate the transactions? So there is a competition between 5 nodes. So what proof of work will do is it will keep one computation, that is clearing the mathematical problem. Okay, so it can be anything, but generally it will take as a mathematical problems only. It's like some hash value. So considering there are 256-bit hash, some starting bit hashes like 4 to 5 bits, it should starts with 5 zeros. So that is the mathematical problem. Okay, it's very difficult actually. We tried this in NITK during lab. So we kept first four digits to be zeros. Okay, it's like a brute force. I told you, right? Brute force is nothing but just taking initially first 1 0, trying with the passing through hash, and next taking one value, again 2 value, again 3 value, again 4. So this can go on till he finds first 5 0 in the hash value. You got my point, right? Here value are nothing but these values will be passed through the hash value. Okay, so 0 will be passed through hash value. So hashing technique is nothing but it's like a fixed value you will get. You can pass anything, you can pass any value, you will get only fixed amount of output. Okay, suppose consider it is a 256-bit hashing algorithm. You can pass anything, even though you pass 0, it will give you 256-bit address. If you pass 1, it will give 256-bit address. If you pass 2 to that, 2 is input to that hashing algorithm, so you will get 256-bit address. You can pass anything. It's a hash value is constant and it's of 256 byte if it when it comes to a 256-bit algorithm. So why I am taking 256-bit is all others algorithms are not much secured, so that's why they are now using SHA 256-bit, okay, hashing technique. So it's like a brute force mathematical problem. So considering I have set a value like some first 5 digits should be, some first 5 hash digits should be zeros. So what all the nodes will do is he will pass 0 into the hashing value 1, 2, 3, 4. So like that it will keep on passing to the hashing value. It will comparing whether the first 5 digits are 0 or not. Whoever finds it first, he will be the winner, and he is just eligible to verify the transactions. Okay, clear? So if you have any doubt, please ask me. This is the main concept of proof of work. It's widely used. It started with Bitcoin. They have started with this only. Okay. So now consider two persons are uh, finding this value, hash value at a time. So these two will create the block at a time. So these two will be called candidate. The block is created called as candidate block. Okay. So what others will do is, once the block, suppose n5 is a winner. Okay. So why n5 will create the block, he will broadcast it to all the 4. Okay. So all 4 will have to accept or not. Okay, this rule is written in consensus. Okay, so actually what it has written is, in proof of work there has to be at least 50% of the people, they have to accept the block I have created. Suppose consider, so if these 3 people accepts, then I am winner, so my block is valid. Okay, more than 15%, sorry, more than, so understanding the concept, right? So more than 51%.
Yes, sir.
So here,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay, thank you. So here n1, n2 and n3. So these 3 have to accept. Then only it will become majority. Then only that block will be accepted. Okay. So here it comes into a picture. There is a concept called compromisation, where these 3 are on a his side. Okay. So this one is alone. N4 is alone. So this concept may come, right? There are people who can work for money. Okay, so like not like work for money actually, so they can compromise it if they are getting something out of it. Okay, so always, suppose if he is validating, always he is using always he is creating the candidate block, always these people are accepting, so he will get money and he can share it with all other 3. Okay, so n4 will be left out because these 3 4 are in a single group. This is called actually 51% attack. Okay, so in order to work, I need majority of a 51%, so I can find those nodes inside a network, then I can make it compromising network. So here it comes into a picture like it can validate the rule, it can violate the rules, and it can compromise the data also. It can give data as well. Okay, so and this person will never get a chance, n4, because he is alone here. So this is called 51% attack. Okay, so I'm just showing this diagram because in order to create this mathematical, in order to solve this mathematical problem, it needs huge amount of computation power. Okay, it's not like normal CPU or GPU. It's called ASICs, asynchronous integrated chip. So it's used to only to solve. It's like in China, they have set of huge set of rooms. You can see this. Okay, whenever you go to a shop, if you want to buy i7 processor, I'm telling, it will cost you around in a lakh, that system. So you can just check for ASICs. Okay, this whole room is considered of ASICs. It's okay, this room is set up only to solve the problems, nothing else it's doing, because once he is a winner, then he will get a money, that's it. Okay, and it's not a small amount. He will get a very good amount. It's not like a small thing, because he has to validate all the transactions, that block will be accepted. This is main concept of consensus algorithm. Okay, so if you have any doubt here, you can ask me. Proof of work is one such consensus algorithm used inside blockchain. I mean specifically for Bitcoin. Okay, so a lot of brute force. Okay, so brute force technique is used. And then next, what is the drawback of this proof of work is 51% attack, because there is a compromisation, because always one person has to verify the transactions, always one person has to create the block. It's like monopoly. Okay, you can say. So so this is ASIC they have used to solve the mathematical problems used in proof of work. Okay, these are set of ASICs inside our room. So this will create a lot of global warming, because in order to keep these systems cool, they have to run tons of ACs. Okay, so this will create a lot of global warming. So here all are trying to solve this mathematical problem, which is not required actually. Okay, so everyone is trying to create, because everyone want to be a winner. Everyone is using ASIC. So everyone is trying to waste his computational power, because if any one of is the winner, if he is having more computational power than any other one, then definitely he will be the winner, and all other resources will be wasted. Okay, so these resources will be wasted. So instead, what we can do is, we can choose any one person, so that he will be the winner and he will create the block. Okay, instead of giving problem to all the persons, let a process we can deploy inside a blockchain. So that process should select one person, so that one person is nothing but one system. Let that system create a block, so that we can save a lot of consumption of energy. Okay, so that's where comes into picture proof of stake. So here they were compromising the things, they can compromise the data. So how to avoid that? This proof of stake will overcome. What proof of stake will do is, it is also like within a network, systems are participating. Okay, so systems are, if they don't want, if they wanna, if anytime if they compromised. Okay, so how these things can be recovered? Okay, so there is stake is nothing but some Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin is represented this dollar. Okay, so this Bitcoin he has to keep it as a deposit. Okay, whoever is participating. Okay, as I showed you, there are 5 nodes. Okay, we'll understand these two case studies, so that because there are thousands of consensus mechanisms are available. You can go through. Raft is there, okay. uh, PBFT is there, practical Byzantine fault tolerance, based on their voting system, okay. So like there are some group of people are there where they can select one person based on their votings, okay. So we will understand this one, these two scenarios, so that others will become easy, because these two are basics actually. You can use proof of elapsed time. Proof of elapsed time is nothing but a person who is waiting for longer time, those who have not got any opportunity to mine the block, so he will be the next winner. So like proof of waiting time is there, proof of longer waiting time, proof of shorter waiting time. So proof of elapsed time. There are many proof consensus mechanisms are available. You can take any one, okay. So here there are five nodes are there, five participating nodes. Everyone want to be a winner. So what these nodes has to be done is, they have to deposit some amount of money, okay. You can say dollar. So how much they deposit, it's left to them, okay. There is no such rules like they want to deposit this much amount of Bitcoin minimally, okay. It's completely left to them. But how this deposit will work is, whoever is investing more, whoever is depositing more, he may get chance. It's not like 100% sure he will get a chance, okay. I will tell why. Because it's completely based on a probability, okay. Suppose this person is paying 50 Bitcoin, okay. Suppose if others are paying less than 50, so his chances will be become, probability will become his 50 slots, okay. So then if someone is paying $40, so again that person will be of 40 slots. If person is only one Bitcoin, then his chances will be only one. So like this slots will be created, okay. Yeah, observe clearly, you can see that the person who is having 50 Bitcoin, probability will be more. It's not like always 100%, it's like 95, we can say, okay. His probability will be more. This understood, right, concept? It's based on probability. But whoever is depositing more, his chances will be of more of winning, okay. So there is main disadvantage here. Can anyone tell? So before that, we can see the advantages. Energy efficiency, okay. It's purely based on the probability algorithm, and only one deposit. There is no need of finding the mathematical equation, because it's completely based on some Bitcoins he is depositing, okay. No, it's not depends on the mathematical problem who is solving. There is no concept of mathematical solving here, so that it can save a lot of computational energy, okay. And security, suppose if any one person compromises, okay, if any one person compromises, so they can take their deposits, okay. So these two are main advantage. You got my point, right? So there are five nodes, they have to deposit some money. So based on that deposit, there will be a probability, so their person will get a chance to mine the block, a system will get a chance to mine the block. Not like 100% that who deposits the more will get a chance, but as we can say that 95% they may get chance, okay. So can anyone tell what are the disadvantages of this, please? Please, anything, okay. Okay.
Cryptocurrency.
Hello. Someone is on. unmute. Okay. So here the main disadvantage is it's like monopoly. Who is richer, his probability is more. Who is poor, because who doesn't have much Bitcoin to deposit, he will be having less chance, because this one guy, we can say he'll be always having less chance to get selected. It's like a monopoly. If the person is rich, he will again deposit some more money, so that his chances will become more. It will keep on increasing. Okay, got my point, right? So person who is poor, he may deposit some less amount. So that those two are main consensus algorithms. That was actually main concept, but I have included these PPTs in order to understand why smart contract is used. So a smart contract is nothing but some set of codes, okay, which is, so this lines of code will be in a block only, because again they should not be in someone's hand, so that it should be a system automated. Okay, smart contracts are nothing but some set of codes, so where everyone will be, whoever wants to join, everyone wants to accept the smart contract and he has to join the network. So usually Genesis block will be having this smart contract, because before creating the network they have to deploy the smart contracts. Again this will be inside a block. Okay, so please try to understand, this will be inside a block. So once it is created, it cannot be changed at any time. Suppose if they want to deploy change the smart contract, okay, so how they will do? Again they have to deploy new smart contract. Okay, because old is never, they should not, they cannot edit it, it's immutability, it's already deployed, it's done. Whatever the chain it has created based on the transactions and based on the smart contract already deployed on the smart contract. So smart contract is nothing but it's like intermediate. Suppose sender is here, receiver is here, he will send his transaction to smart contract. So smart contract will verify whether this guy is having enough money or not. So once this verifies, then it will go to a receiver. Okay, this is one example I give, because every time the anything happens in blockchain is nothing but through smart contracts only. Without smart contracts, nothing is like, it can happen, but smart contracts will be is like heart of the blockchain, where it will be having very sensitive data. Okay, so it should not be hacked by someone, that's why they have kept inside a block. So for that block they will generate one hash value, so that if there is anything changed inside that hash value will change, again that block, that chain will become invalid. Okay, suppose if they want to create new smart contract, if they want to deploy new smart contract, again they have to create new smart contract, again they have to deploy it inside a chain, so they cannot modify already existing smart contract. So this is clear. So this one I showed you miners, what are the roles of miners. They have to validate the transactions and construct a block. So they use hash power to vote on consensus and commit transactions with a new block. So this is nothing but when the block is ready, they have to broadcast it to all the miners. This person will vote whether this has to accept or not. Okay, so once they say accept, then that is like a valid block and it has to be added to the chain. Okay, so once that block is accepted, then again it has to be broadcasted to the inside a network, so that all the miners will update with that chain, set of chain. So everyone will have this chain. Okay, so these again these are all very basic functionalities, like listen for transactions and validate proposed transactions, listen for new blocks, read broadcast a new block when it is proposed. Okay, collect transactions for a predefined time. Okay, so it's you can tell like this is called this shows that there is a pool where all the transactions will come. Okay, and it will be dropped inside a pool, so that from pool they can collect their transactions and they can be verified, and through once the transactions are verified they can kept inside a block. So that block will be broadcasted to all the miners. Once that block is accepted by the miners, that will be added to the chain. That accepted chain, that accepted block should again broadcast, so that all the miners will add to their chain, so that all the ledgers are updated. This will be handled by network. Okay, you can tell this process is clear. So advantages, it's a transparency, so anyone can see the transactions happening inside a blockchain, because they cannot modify. Once they modify, the hash value will change. So if the hash value changes, that chain will become invalid. Immutability, once it is uh, done, one that data cannot be changed actually. So if they change again, the hash value change. Decentralization, so whenever one network is down, so it can always get a data from another node. Okay, it's like a decentralization, so everyone will be having same copy of a ledger. So automation with the smart contracts, so many things will be atomized, because in IoT, when it comes to IoT, it has to be auto generated. Sensing the temperature, it has to be updated. Okay, I'm just telling one such example. It can be heart rate, it can be medical cases as well. They can store the data automatically, because those are not like manual reports, those are system generated test reports will be there, so they can be uploaded. Okay, disadvantages are there, lot of disadvantages, because mining required expensive hardware, so that everyone cannot be like always everyone cannot get opportunity to mine the block, and lot of computational is required. Those computational equipments are very costly, so that it's not like a normal people can buy. In order to reduce that computational power, there are many algorithms, but those algorithms are not that much efficient. That is one thing. And for smaller amount of transactions, you have to store a lot of data. Okay, it's not like one data, it's a complete transaction that has to be verified by miner. Once that transaction is accepted, then only it will be added to the block. Okay, these are some of the disadvantages. Okay, so Samsung is introducing its own coin, so that if you are having Samsung account, you can buy it. It's only to buy Samsung products. Okay, it's like I think Samsung phone, they may introduce their app to buy through this Bitcoin. Okay, so whenever it comes to Ethereum, there will always called Ethereum coin is ETH. Okay, so for Bitcoin, BTC. So again is launching its blockchain tracking system for its supply chain. So supply chain is nothing but each parts it will be getting ready, so that so for each part there will be one number. Okay, so that catalog number, so that number will be stored inside a blockchain. So it not only like they are securing the data, it's like their easy tracking way of system. Okay, so we understood the how consensus mechanism works. We understood the case study of proof of work and proof of stake. Okay, basics of blockchain fundamentals. These are some of the references. Initially they started with the banking system. Okay, this is my contact detail. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Thank you. So I'm having one more PPT. So you understood the blockchain, right? Hello. Yeah. Available, right, everyone? And can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. So blockchain.
Sorry, continue.
Hello, sir. Yes.
I'm saying that continue, sir. Continue. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So in blockchain, the main disadvantage is it's like very less amount of data we can store. So inside transactions, how much data you can store? It's just a value. Okay. When it comes to financial, it's just a value number. Okay. When it comes to IoT, it's just it's also a number. It's also some value. It can be character value. Okay. It's not like a report, complete report. Okay. So combining blockchain with IPFS, interplanetary file system, it makes somewhat robust. So where IPFS we can store some data, some file systems, which cannot be stored on blockchain. There are some blockchains existing where you can store large amount of data. The big chain is there, okay, but still there is a data constraint, okay. So that's where blockchain comes into picture. This interplanetary file system. Interplanetary file system is nothing but, has anyone heard before?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, I have a query, sir.
Yes, sir.
Whether it is related or not, but actually, as in our traditional system, RBI generate notes 2,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees notes on the basis of the gold reserve the country have. So, by which system the number of bitcoins generated? Actually, I so many times in the news I heard that the bitcoins are limited and they made, and now we are. That's the reason the demand of Bitcoin is increasing day by day, because they are created, and further they are created or not, it is not confirmed. So, what is the base or reason for the Bitcoins? Are you getting my question or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, please continue, sir.
Actually, my question is that it's about the Bitcoins. So,
Sir, in India, it's banned actually. So because RBI can have control over Indian banking system. Okay, it cannot have control over the foreign bankings. So Bitcoin, when it comes to Bitcoin, it's international. So they are keeping it open. Okay, so in India, so anyone can do mining. So mining they have not stopped because its own perspective. If they are having that much computational system, they can do. But when it comes to it's not like, so block Bitcoin. So Bitcoin mining is there. So Bitcoin usage trading. Okay, so
okay.
trading is stopped inside because India RBI is not having control over international systems, that whatever Bitcoin they are using.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So mining can be done from anywhere. Okay, so in China they are doing, in US they are doing. So from India, many people may be doing, but I may not be aware of that. Okay, so interplanetary file system. Combining with blockchain, it gives important aspect of storing a file system. So it shows only one thing: data can be come from anywhere. Okay, you can see here. So data can be come from YouTube, WordPress, Facebook, Gmail. So lot of data will be there. It's Amazon. So how these things will be managed? Okay, so that's where IPFS will comes into picture. It's not like before IPFS there was a system. There were systems. If you, even though we search on Google, it gives immediate results. Okay, if you search on the for the file, it gives immediate results. If you search on any YouTube videos, it gives relevant YouTube videos. Okay, we cannot tell that directly. It gives relevant details. Okay, so these things are like it has to fetch data a nearby available database. Okay, so what IPFS will tell is you can download data from your nearby system. It may be within country, it may be outside country, it may be within your state, it may be within your district, it may be nearby you. So that is main agenda of IPFS. It cannot be downloaded always from the database where it is stored originally. Okay, so we'll understand the problems of that. We'll understand the overview, then I'll show you the demo in the next session. So again, this one was used in last time in my PPT. Okay, so centralized system, again single point of failure. Okay, centralized, they can have their own system and they can have their own set of rules. Distributed is just a replica of a same database. Okay, so it's like a location based addressing. So based on your content, it will generate one hash value. So again, it's like a based on hash value only, hash addressing. So instead of searching for the IP of a system, so whenever it's like a BitTorrent. So BitTorrent is basically works like, suppose your system is here, one more system is within a state. Okay, I'm not telling about something like continent. Within a state, suppose if I download any movie, okay, so if that movie is available here, so they can directly download from here. That is mean how BitTorrent works. Okay, so I think you might have heard about this BitTorrent, because if you see, there will be many options. It's like peer and seeding. Okay, seed. So peer is nothing but your peer entity, they are connected. Seeding is nothing but you will be, your system basically work as a server so that anyone can access the data. That's why it's not secured actually. Okay, so instead of going to the same database where that data is present, so I can directly download from here, which is near. Okay, so once I download that movie, now my system will become server. So if anyone want to be download that system nearby me, he can download that. This is the main simple concept. Okay, this understood, right? So suppose if there is not data nearby, if there is system, suppose if you want a movie or any file to download, don't consider only movie. Okay, any file, suppose he will approach to the nearby system. If it is down, then he will go to the another nearby system. This is how the main agenda, so that it can reduce lot of traffic, because you can consider all the systems are requesting to the same database, so it has to reply to the all people, which will create a lot of traffic. You can see only one line is going from here, so all lines are coming into these between systems. Okay, so how it will work internally. So whenever you give this IP address, whenever you give this website address, so internally it will go to the this IP address. This is called domain name servers. DNS DNS will resolve this. Okay, sorry, okay, so DNS will resolve. Once the DNS will resolve, this will go to this IP address, then it will search for the file, then this will search for the inside the foo file. Again there is a file called bar, again inside that this image file is there. Okay, so these are different systems are available. Okay, so my system is here. Suppose I want to download from this, I want to download a file from this. Okay, IP. So how I have to go? I have to simply follow the shortest route. Suppose consider that system is this. Okay, or else I can follow this. It's left to network actually. Okay, it can follow any path. It can go like this. Okay, so there are multiple paths are available. So that file is actually available here. If it is directly connecting, then it's absolutely fine. But if it's not connecting, it can pass through any path. Okay. So what problems will happen is, suppose in a room, they're trying to download the same photos or same uploading to the Facebook. So all people are accessing to the same photo. Okay. So again, this will increase in the bandwidth. Lot of traffic. Okay, so this is this picture shows the how the path is followed. Okay, you can just calculation of the data, 8 MB. Suppose if systems are there, these many systems, everyone wants to download the same pic. It's not like the same pic. You can see that whenever the video is uploaded to the YouTube, so everyone will be searching. In one day, there will be like 1 million views will be there. Okay, so it's like create a lot of traffic, because every time it has to follow this path only, because file is available here. Okay, so consider there are 30 systems, so there are 30 systems, they have to download 1 MB through 8 routers. Okay, so it's equal to the 240 MB data. Okay, so this shows the Gangnam Style of video. It's a very famous video, right? So you might have you know that. So suppose if everyone is watching the same video at a time, you can just observe this. So last time it was showing just a image file, 30 systems of 1 MB. You can see here 30 systems of 200 MB, which is equivalent to 48 GB of data. Okay, so here what we can reduce is, suppose if this content is available here, so this traffic can be reduced. Okay, so this will be into 8 times is not required, right? Only 1 time is required, or somewhere here. Okay, inside the router it cannot be stored. So this shows some Google document some person wants to download. So if that link is down, so it goes offline, so everyone will be looking for the same link. Okay, it shows sorry, so in case in a single system, if this network is down, or if this is vanished, so obviously the network is not available and data is also vanished, so nothing is available. It will give 404 page not found error. Okay, if some data are vanished, okay, it's showing burning picture, but not exactly burning. Some may be vanished. Okay, considering some may be destroyed. So how they can be recovered? It's showing recovering, right? Okay, it can be recovered through nearby system. Okay, because this much was already available, so it can recover easily. I showed you. Okay, so whenever that link is down, 404 error, page not found. Okay, so here these two systems are burning. Still we have 5 systems. You can observe all the things are connected to each other so that they can communicate. They can download data from here, they can download data from here, they can download data from here, anywhere. Okay, so that is how location based addressing works. Because what it will do is, so we need not to do anything, we just will call this image file. Inside it will go to the location, so this location is will be changed to hash value. It's called content. So based on, because while uploading this, I will show you the demo so that you will understand. So this uploading the image, it will give one hash value. Okay, that may be 256-bit hash. So through this hash we can, it's like that content hash. So through this content we can easily download that image. Okay, so this shows my data has to be downloaded from here. So it's like only one path. Suppose if that network is down, so my data will not be available here. Okay, so suppose if that data is available any one of these systems, I can directly approach from here to a nearby system. Okay, so you can observe here, one person is already downloaded the video here. Okay, this system will become as a server. So please observe here, it's not BitTorrent. It's actually more secure than BitTorrent. BitTorrent we are not having hashing concept. So but in IPFS we are having hashing concept, so that it's secured one. Okay, even though they change anything inside that video, that hash value will be changed. Even a small dot inside a peak, it will lead to a huge hash value change, because it's not like 1-bit hash, it's a 256-bit hash. This whole hash value will be different. Okay, except starting some bits, it's always start with QM IPFS hash value. I'll show you this. So this bit will be 254 bits will be definitely changed. Okay, so one person is already downloaded this video here. Okay, so if anyone wants to see this, so they can directly download from here. Okay, so whenever this link is down, still video is available. Suppose whenever this link is down, so then again one more person maybe download, and this system will become a server, and this from this again everyone can connect to this system. Okay, this is the main agenda of IPFS. You can see here. So demo I will show you in the next session. Okay, so this thing is clear, right? If anyone is having any doubt, they can ask me. Otherwise, thank you. I hope it was informative for you. Any doubts, you can ask me in the next session as well. Thank you everyone. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, can
Hello,
you hear me?
Raghavendra.
Yes, sir.
Finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Raghavendra. Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So we will do one thing. So we're going to meet in the afternoon session for the demonstration. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.